foots, yeah, just like us, taking trips, yeah, put you in the trunk like a British, yeah, you know you can't bother with the shit, yeah, honey, they got trust, makes my grip, yeah, that's why I don't bother with your bitch, yeah, smoke the blood with space girls, the green light, and two light, the my shit, like my shit, that's that shit, Parliament. Yeah, come on, baby, out of space again. Wanna get it, I'ma get it in, yeah. Yeah, I'm making it grind, I'm making ways. Gotta make my way, this is my getaway, yeah. Why you ready to out? Like you turn upside down. In reverse now, you can be up in the south. Listen, you can be down in the north. I still say that you down in New York, yeah. You ain't bringing no food to the table while you counting the pork. Bitches are $20. What? Yeah. I got no time for a bitch. I done came up from a long way from wrestling Tulsa, but I was supplying the mix. You know I've been on a parliament, don't know if I can let fly so hard on the trip. I got the eye, the eagle, the eye, the tiger, the eye, the money's fist. I am a bear, yeah. You know I'm proud of this shit, yeah. But I ain't here, it's like it's not a shot, man. I know when I'm back, got a star shit. You should know your real sort of fun. There's the guy I'm out of your range. Fuck up a project, figure it out. You keep myself out of your brains. Like I better stop, better stick, yeah. Bitches like us, taking trips, yeah. Put you in the trunk like a British, yeah. You know you can't follow with the shit, yeah. Only thing I trust is my grip, yeah. That's why I don't fuck with your bitch, yeah. Smoke the blood with space girls, the green light, and so loud, and the my shit, like my shit, that's that shit, Parliament, yeah. I got a Jeep up in space again, yeah. I'm not running things on a different planet. I don't believe in all aliens. Got the Titanic, keep for Arcadians. You're never gonna be where the angels get on chains. So you're real, taking the rail. Turn the heart of demons to sense again. From the past, I ain't even gonna hate a bitch. I never go on the light. If you like two things to choose from, but we think you should be going with flight. This Apollo make it grow on the night. Spitting only fire under the night, yeah. I got the best flow in the rap game, and you know I be right. Fuck with me, you know be like Christ. Fuck this buzz flight, yeah. Don't forget the F. And you know it's for flight. TLI, tell me Youngstown, Toy Story. Make it just go listen to the head. If you got loose lips, better tell you love. No, okay, when you end up in space again. Parliament, they put it like aliens. And the flying salsa, when I fly, just stay strapped like it's contract. Have you heard since the last time I touched it? Fly past, bitch, treat my ass like a dollar, nigga. Better stop with this thing, yeah. They just like us, taking trips, yeah. Put you in the trunk like a British, yeah. You know you can't follow with the shit, yeah. Only thing I trust is my grip, yeah. That's why I don't bother with your bitch, yeah. Smoke the blood with space girls, the green light, and so bad, and fireman. The my shit, that's that shit, Parliament, shit.
We'll fly around the spaceship with the TANT's bucket hats. You don't go no further than that. You don't go no more up here than that. You don't go no further than that. Let's talk about some space travel and flying around and stuff like that, aka get your life together energy. All those qualities we're gonna be able to break down. You know the moon is in Taurus right now. Moon get ready to go in Gemini. Smooth criminal going to Cancer. New valuations of your emotional state. What make you feel comfortable, what don't make you feel comfortable, and all that is going to be up for discussion. Now, here's the thing, though. When it's up for discussion, if you unproductive, you ain't got no true goals, no intent behind your energy, then for the most part, we don't want to hear all them feelings and emotions. This is how you feel or whatever the case may be, because you lost your own world. If you productive or whatever the case may be, all kind of new informations and communications on how you and me, because once you in a productive energy, you help yourself and others. You ain't even got to say nothing to me. I can sit back by, look at you as an example and be like, that's the right information and the right way I'm supposed to think to go about this new emotion, this new feeling. This new circus is going to be a new beautiful feeling. See, if you're in the energy of always trying to look for things to dislike or be disgruntled with, of course you don't find or hear what other people are talking about and know what they saying when they say it's going to be beautiful. So only thing you see in your life is the projection energy, you trying to find something to dislike, you trying to find something to hate or whatever. So you have to reevaluate where you at spiritually so you can start having different awarenesses in the mind, different ideas. But then a lot of times y'all don't. So that's all you see externally. And it could be something that's very good for you, but yet you found something negative about it first. You found some opposing figure about it first. You found some energy which you need to disagree with about it first. And that's not to go to say that's for everything. But if you have true wisdom and equilibrium, you know what that energy pertains to in your life and what not to participate with. So it ain't about, oh, to be a good person, I have to do this, even in front of individuals taking advantage of you, either in situations you know you're getting the short end of the stick. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying once you get in these positions where you are the spiritual authority, then you can have better, healthy decision-making qualities when it comes into what you are experiencing. Right now, you might just be doing things based upon the filtering system. So it got you in a situation where you're willing to sacrifice morals, you're willing to sacrifice integrity, you really sacrifice what actually makes sense for the circumstance of the situation due to the fact of you don't want to get hit by an esoteric bullet or fit no esoteric shoe sizes. You know what I'm saying? Because when you like fitting esoteric shoe sizes and catch esoteric bullets, it's something in the spiritual world that you involved in that isn't so apparent around maybe larger percentage scale of the people that you're around due to the fact of what Walt Disney and Michael Jordan may have taught us. So it's things that you know you're getting away with as a spirit that isn't so aware yet in the physical. Then you come around someone who may know how to express it in such a manner that they brought a little bit of that space into the physical without the biases attached to it. So that will allow a person to see an event from a distance to be like, wait, I may be getting caught on to. You know what I'm saying? This spirit got a light bulb on top of their head. They might see what angle I'm coming from or however the case. Then a person to start reflangling the situation from behind closed doors or behind the scenes internally to restructure the situation so they don't get exposed or in some way, shape, or form when a person is being manipulative or using individuals for an external crutch that internally had different purposes of why they connected with that person in the first place. So a person may connect with you with the falsity of love, they're close to you or whatever the case may be, but the external representation is what they're actually utilizing that for. So they actually don't love you, they just around you for them rims. They actually don't care about you, they just around based upon the energy and the care you give them. So a lot of times y'all don't be paying attention to that side of life and you get all rocked to sleep. Now, when the moon go into Gemini, those energies is going to like slightly try to teach you these things. It's going to try to teach you to get the right information around what someone is going through internally or emotionally. And if you lack emotional intelligence, this is why you get taken advantage of. This is why you be in starting point, trusting situations, outcome, realize you shouldn't be trusting like that no more. And if you don't know how to kind of compartmentalize, that energy will start to play out in other areas of your life where it could be useful, but now you didn't allow that energy to create a dry heart, a hardened heart. So now you're just in some type of energy trying to resist something that may not even be a spooky character in your life at the moment, that energetic forces is playing out through people, places, and things. Because a lot of times when we in a certain spiritual space, we're developing certain awarenesses with other spirits that's not even in bodies yet, trying to be born and stuff, just like how you got here. The world is broad. Animals and other spirits and stuff like that, that's in that position. And sometimes, right, depending on what wave you're going against, because you don't know how to create your water puddle from the up and down energy or whatever the case may be, you might have a energy where you're going against something, you don't know what you're going against, and it's just planned out through people, places, and things. And it's hard for you to put the two and two together, yet the things that social norms or what Michael Jordan or Walt Disney taught us is the only things you got to point to make an example or to justify it, yet it's not enough for you to truly make sense out of it. So it'll be kind of like you blaming yourself or blaming others, or kind of like trying to make sense out of the little aspect that you do know, which a lot of it may be true, but a lot of it is just based upon what space you in, and you're swimming against something that ain't truly your space or whatever the case, and then you're experiencing a lot of things in your life that make it seem like it's going against where you're trying to go, or things in your favor, yet you probably doing things the right way, you probably being a good individual and stuff like that. So when we go, this is the energies that teach us, and for lack of better terms, for people to get in God or to spirituality and things, and if you're part of your lineage, to know what the term God actually means, and humans using it and just separating it from it being a social norm, and just the lack of better terms word we could use to convey what we are experiencing. No other human or no other manipulator or other individual can go through these things like individuals. And when they're so, a lot of times when we get manipulators, they're manipulating things we're already going through in actual life, and you will have to be focused in a certain area for it to play out in another area of life, filter through a bias or something like that, that somebody taught you that's what your want is, or that's what your need is. But when we go through these spiritual experiences and things of that nature, there ain't really no such thing as it being taught or someone teaching you what direction that is. These are internal experiences everybody as an individual go through to kind of, now when you get other individuals create certain terms around stuff to help explain certain things, that's when you have to be wise as a spirit to know whatever that you're looking at, listening to, or reading through a person or whatever the case may be, is it filtered through a bias, or is it a person who's going through similar experiences just like you, or is there a grifter or whatever the case may be? And it takes some people faster than others, but everybody end up reaching that conclusion because it's too high on a percentage scale that you are experiencing things that goes beyond social norms and commercials and all these type of things. And you start to see that life, these things that we do be paying attention to, is built off that first. So you only start to feel unstable in life when you have a lack of comprehension or a lack of way of justifying it and communicating it or whatever the case may be. And every so often you got other people who slap words on things, you got other people who do, and then if you're not careful, you may utilize a lot of those things and get grifted. You know what I'm saying? Because it's someone pointing to the same direction of what it seemed like you was experiencing, but yet the backing behind it, you start to see it can't be that, because they're not actually presenting it as if how we are experiencing it or whatever. So that's how you could be able to decipher who's between a grifter or not or whatever. Because these things, when you start to look at it and the real moral aspect, even if you in a situation of making money like a preacher or whatever the case, you know how to separate certain things, because you know that you could get into a aspect of sensationalism, right? When you're just doing something and you think the intelligent way of going about it is sensationalizing it, right? Because a lot of business was made off of that. So sensationalizing comes with over exaggerations and stuff like that. So you over exaggerate something to get something that we don't have to over exaggerate about. You did that for money. We ain't got to over exaggerate about that. You know what I'm saying? Or you did that to be the face of something. We don't got to over exaggerate about that. But the moment that it becomes the over exaggeration of something or whatever, then that's when it leads the side of being genuine or whatever the case may be, because that's a person that's extremely trying to push energy of a false belief for themselves or whatever, and think other people think that, because you can't never go past the author. Always remember that. So the intelligence is always going to be as far as the author. So whoever the author is and what they're considering as intelligent, that will be true intelligence when you develop that awareness. Fraud intelligence is when you think someone else knew something that you didn't have the ability to know or whatever the case may be. So instead of you having a true understanding of it for yourself, right, you just go off of someone else that may have a bias or whatever the case may be. But there's no such thing as lying. That's what we have to understand too. There's no such thing as lying. You can only tell the truth. Now, if a person is truly lying, that'll be the only thing that you will have to get through or whatever. If you a person being lied to, whether it's your family, friend, or associate or coworker, you will have to filter through your biases and why are you in that circumstance and situation in the first place. Then the truth will come out. So you'll just feel like you're getting taken advantage of and justify the reason why they did that. But other than that, it wasn't necessarily a lie. It was really just more word for manipulation. That's a better word for it. So a lot of people follow manipulating spirits and things of that nature. So this is a spirit that's in their ego, or an anti of universal energy, or whatever the case may be, right? Something this could be already apparent, right? But let's say this, like, let's say this. Let's say I got a picture of your somebody you believe in your mind, or whatever the case may be. And then say I got some money, right? And let's say I'm going around and I give you a choice. Now, if you heavy lost in your emotions or whatever, I say, look, you want this picture or you want this money? And let's say I put a lot of money in the picture. So you don't know it's money in a picture, but it's more money in the picture than the actual money I gave you, or whatever. And let's say you deeply lost into some belief I created, or whatever the case may be. If you take that picture because of what I made you believe, and then the money I manipulated in it and put more money in it, if I left you thinking that your belief was the reason that more positive thing happened, then that's a Lord or something out of ego or whatever, because I have to manipulate you to like me. You know what I'm saying? And then I have to create something I think we all like for you to have it as a social norm, for you to even have it in your own mind without me being around to be like, this is something good to have, or whatever the case may be. This is like the lowest hanging fruit concepts in reality when it comes into ego and a person lost in themselves and coming up with all kind of ways they're considering intelligent to get praised in some way, shape, or form. Where if you're just doing a cartwheel like everybody else could do a cartwheel, but how you did a cartwheel was a little bit more sufficient, that's all you needed. All you needed was a godly gift and talent. You ain't need no manipulation. You ain't need, you know what I'm saying? So this is the information that Gemini is going to get us when we get into our eternal energies, especially dealing with Cancer, because Cancer wants us to ask questions about why we are emotionally feeling a certain way. And if we can't get those questions met, then it come out as moods. It come out as erratic emotions. It come out as feelings a person can't deal with, and they was in them feelings for a long time without having a healthy release system. So it's going to start expressing itself unwarrantedly around people, places, and things that they didn't mean to express those energies around. And it take like a lot of experiences of what was wrong, what was right, what was done for a person to sit back and be like, well, maybe I was in my feelings and emotions. And some learn faster than others, you know what I'm saying? And the sooner the better. So when you are aware of what's going on and you know how to sit still and be sensitive, a lot of times this allow you to peep game of the energies without it being filtered through names like astrology or the zodiac terms and stuff like that. You'll be able to see, oh, this is an emanation playing out in this representation, how we see the sun creating emanations, or just the sun and how it appear as a communion to us see each season, each spectrum, or whatever the case may be. So this is another transition. So if you know how to counterpartmentalize characteristics and experiences as transitions, you're able to have one up a little better or whatever, because you'll understand, okay, I'm going through a transition. Now I can either make this extremely resistant, I could go against a water flow, or I can go where it's most calm at and doggy pedal if I want to, or whatever. And a lot of times y'all don't be knowing what bias y'all give more importance, which one is on out of the three. And y'all bias be more predicated on going against a wave, or you know what I'm saying, in certain aspects where you have to extremely resist something, or however the case may be. So that's like sacrificing a lot of areas where you could go through smoothly, but it'll play out in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension as you sacrificing certain morals or something like that, or certain integrities, or whatever the case may be, for the sake of what's more of the bias. But the bias, you got to work hard for it. You know what I'm saying? You might got to argue for it. You might got to put yourself sometimes in compromising situations for it. You know what I'm saying? Do things that really ain't you for it, and then convince yourself that is you. You know what I'm saying? And then make up an intelligence around it. Well, this what these type of people do, so then make an excuse based upon the outcome of it. And hopefully it's a large percentage scale of what a social norm may have taught us what everybody want or need. But if you lack that ability, you're just gonna look like a crash out, or someone who's doing something based upon a faulty bias, or you're getting paid for a faulty bias that no one cares about. You see what I'm saying? But there's a lot of internal battles we're going to have to deal with during this particular time, because Cancer wants us to deal with the emotions. And once it's a new moon in Cancer, you're going to have a new feeling and emotion about what you're actually doing. So anything you heavily invested yourself into, especially if it's like a situation where you didn't put a lot of eggs in a basket or something like that, right? These situations is going to start to make you react and respond to these things. If you doing things right internally, is you doing things right morally, is your integrity right? Is you going to feel right about it after it's done, or however the case, or do you feel right about the things that was already done? Now, these is the energies that the new moon in Cancer is going to make everybody focus on. So these be those times, anytime we're experiencing a new moon, if you're an individual with internally, even if you manipulate it externally, your family, friends, associates, and coworkers, and they don't know what's going on yet. They don't know you rocking them to sleep. They don't know that you never planned on paying them back on time, or whatever the case may be, right? These be the times that everybody start to be aware of what they done wrong. And you got two routes to take. Justify in some type of way in your mind, like, well, the people that I'm thinking about in reality, they don't know what's going on, so I don't think it's wrong. Or you could start, retracting a little bit, because that's really the universe saying, watch out, I see what you're doing. Do you want to go through with this? Because things that happen to you that ain't even got nothing to do with who you doing things to. And you might be in a worse situation. Do you want to go through with it? A lot of people don't see it, that's what they're being told at the moment. A person might be so much in their bias, they're only in the decision-making qualities that's filtered through a high percentage scale of their bias. So once they reach that two routes in the esoteric world, people don't know what's going on, because the way you start analyzing body language and with the experiences, and you might got a high percentage scale of being right a little bit, but how long can that go until you become forgetful in certain areas because it get comfortable, and then you want to get fulfilled in other areas, then other areas get exposed where either who probably was blind or sidelined, who you was close to, start to be aware of certain things because you wasn't protecting it esoterically as a force field. That first it trickled down as people start feeling funny. Then it trickled down as they start seeing things they wasn't seeing before. Then once it get to that level, it's too late. Even if you could hurry up and cover up what you was doing physically, something still won't be right. And God will create a situation through that person to make it less on a percentage scale for you to have that ability to do that again. You won't be able to do it the same or whatever. So you're being blocked. So that's God showing you, I see you. I see you. Everybody don't see it that way. Everybody ain't got a spiritual connection or whatever the case may be. And that's how a lot of people start to develop and bring what we consider extremes into the world. You know what I'm saying? Because the spirit by nature always want to see how far it could go. When a spirit is degenerate and unproductive, they direct that, let's see how far I could go, energies in negative areas or whatever the case may be. So they want to see how far I could go without that connection with the world of understanding you're being watched also in some way, shape, or form. You think you watching individuals, you being watched. That's for all negative. A thief got to sit and watch. You know what I'm saying? That for you to have that ability was here before you. You know what I'm saying? So you just can't be thinking you got that ability to codus when it was something that had that ability before you and have moved on, because that ability is no longer that useful. Just like you got your sexual organs, and then now you're more into your brain organ and your mind, because what's first shall be last, last shall be first. So you just use your mind to do things that you already know and familiar with. Sexual organs and the heart organ, because the heart was created first and shit like that when you're in the womb or whatever. So it's just energies that we try to jump into based upon being unfulfilled. But if we're not checking ourselves, we're going to be still doing the same things, just on the wrong side of the universe, just for unproductive matters, or trying to justify some form of intelligence off our own faultiness. And then when we do that too far, we have to find other individuals that's in that same damaged spiritual space. So eventually they're on the same time creating the same mind awarenesses, cities and states in that esoteric world. Then in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension, here's how cultures get separated. And now we got small pockets of cults with their own ideologies and things of that nature. That's more on a percentage scale of being unproductive. So it's always going to play out higher on a percentage scale of harming oneself or others. So whether it trickle down first as the group harming each other, backstabbing, business shark energy, or it leads into that group harming others based upon the selfish, self-entitled bias that they develop and create a spooky god around to justify why that's the means. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be careful of these things too, because it is really just mental illness, not all these over exaggeration terms we call it, like esoterics, religion, spiritual. No, it's just mental illnesses and people who willing to go extreme for a bias. And the reason it got extreme because it was at an early stage of not being checked from an intellectual perspective or whatever the case may be. You see what I'm saying? So we have to do these things internally within ourselves first. And this is what Cancer and Gemini Moon is going to teach us. Look at nations like your own thoughts. That's all the men, and the ideas is all the little boys, and all your feelings is all the little girls, and all your emotions is all the women. Look at it like that. So when you'll find yourself being so cold, you won't even be in the external situations that spirits who can't deal with that inside themselves, they be all bunched together in the external world. You'll find yourself knowing how to get in and get out, because we still got to participate with the world, but you'll be on a different timing. You won't be on the time that everybody else get together and crash out, like how we seen all the New Yorkers did during the basketball game and stuff like that, which ain't nothing wrong. I mean, I was saying everybody enjoying themselves and stuff like that, but at the same time, I'm just giving context. A lot of accidents happen. It could be stampedes happen, like on the Lion King, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis game. You get caught up under everybody else's Jordan shoes and stuff like that, and you just was trying to enjoy the game, and you got caught in the stampede and stuff based upon having arthritis in the left toe knuckle. You know, so you couldn't run and get out the way and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles somewhere in the New York City sewer. You know what I'm saying? Days later, somebody got to find you because you done got stampeded and stuffed in the sewer and stuff during the Knicks game. So it get crazy out in the world and stuff like that. We got to check ourselves a lot of times and stuff. So when you do these things internally, it play out externally. And when it play out externally, you'll find it, you'll start kind of compartmentalizing and start keeping that in check. And be like, oh, damn. Then those areas you have fear at, you'll start transmuting and be like, okay, it ain't fear. It ain't what I'm doing. It's how I'm doing it, or whatever the case. Now you changing your whole perspective of how you're interacting with things. So even the things, you'll start having a different outlook, because now you're in a different spiritual space. You'll have a different outlook at the things that you once considered you wouldn't do, and start thinking about it now. And then now you have a broader perspective. Now you'll be able to see, even if it's positive or negative, how you're seeing other individuals. But let's say they're in a position where they're getting out of a lot of attention. You'll even start to understand why they're doing things beyond what everybody else may see, and just lost in reactionary energies and stuff. So you're able to give grace on a broader scale. Cancer wants us to have that, because cancers are the representations of how we deal with things emotionally and how we react. So cancers themselves, y'all are going to be challenged, or however the case. And if you are productive, you're going to be the example on how we are supposed to go about something when it comes to our emotional state and how we react to it. And there's a sufficient way of reacting to something, and there's a crash out way of reacting to something. And you have to make sure you're involved in your own life enough to know where is that at. Some of y'all so misguided. So we still going to be all in these same energies. Yours is going to be focused and directed in some unproductivity, something that ain't even your business, or whatever the case may be. Now you got people who is close to you looking at you a certain way and thinking in their mind what they could trust you with and not trust you with, based upon you wanting to be too expressive. That's why it ain't nothing wrong with being expressive, but you got to know what you are expressing. Are you in the present, or are you projecting? And now once you express that projecting, you're reflecting. And a lot of times, this is how negative people who don't think they negative, because they having good conversations with their family and friends and stuff, don't know how they're carrying negative energies. And sometimes when people put their phones on don't disturb or airplane mode, or, all the time, don't fully participate with the conversation or energy, or whatever the case may be. Because this may be a tool to laugh, but the thing that's being used as a tool is on a negative pretense. It's about something that bad happened to you or somebody else, or family, friend, or associate, or coworker. So that can be good to pass the time every now and then, but if you're not careful, the Cancer energy is going to rebuke that from us. Rebuke that, you know what I'm saying? To let us know that, this is an energy you're in beyond the structure and forms you're transmuting it through, like actions and words and stuff like that, for other purposes, to please what you lack fulfillment in. And if you're not checking this, you could be not understanding the way the universal mechanics work is Anytime you're just giving more energy to something, that's where you're paying attention to something. You're giving more of your esoteric currency, your pan. And if it's a bunch of energy that you don't care to experience yourself, then this is how you start to experience a lot of trial and tribulation in your life because of your thought pattern. So it ain't what you think about, it's how you think about it, and how much percentage scale you're gonna pay attention to how much energy is given back to what the other area you may lack. And that area that you may lack, that's what you're trying to fulfill, for you can have that ability of feeling like you're a part of something, or feeling like you're entertained, or feeling like you can communicate or whatever. And those are supposed to be purely on other basis, or if it's germane or applicable to the situation, because we're all just trying to have a good time, we know that that's what we're talking about it for. We know when we leave this conversation, it ain't nothing that's too serious that I'ma hurt my family or friend because we betted over the football game or whatever, or based upon who we voted for or whatever the case may be. No, we know that we're just having witty banter. But once we're done around the kitchen table eating and stuff like that, it wasn't that deep for us to harm each other or create animosity and toxicity within the relationships or whatever. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of times we don't participate. We don't know what we're doing. Then we'll get into an energy, self-reflecting more on the bias, and then it creates stains within our own situation, our own relationships. And we don't be having no one to blame but ourselves. So we have to understand that too. But the situation may look like we got everybody else to blame. We got society to blame. We got corporations to blame. We got this family, this friend, and associate to blame. But when you understand things from the spiritual world, you able to see you can't blame nobody but your goddamn self. You know what I'm saying? And it's as simple as it's as simple as couple cup that. You know what I'm saying? When you understand the things from that attribute, and that's when you know you close to something, you connected to something, because you don't have to be in a situation where you get lost, and that disconnect is what's creating all that bad face card expressions that you may be having at times when you're in the middle, in limbo, trying to find those solutions, trying to find those right decision making qualities, trying to understand why you made that mistake or whatever. But when we come into the sun being in Cancer, this is what it's all teaching us. And Cancers, if they're productive and you have a Cancer in your life, utilize them as a stepping stool or an example to know how to react or respond to things that you will probably crash out, or not even that extreme, things that you want to sweep up under the rug because it ain't stuff you want to deal with. Think about it. If you're a fire or water sign, to us that'd be things like practical things, or bills every now and then, or things that we know we should do, but there's a lot of other stuff we feel like we got to do first, energies or whatever the case may be, right? So that's not dealing with our emotions right towards something. Cancers, they go through those extremes, so they deal with that 24/7. But now that the sun is in Cancer, we all have to learn those things. Air and earth signs or whatever, there may be qualities that you pay attention to more than water and fire signs or whatever. But here's the thing, the nonchalantness, right? Your way of going about it, your way of communicating sometimes becomes the problem. So yeah, y'all be saying a whole bunch of the right things and stuff like that. Sometimes we don't want to hear it from you though. Why you say it that way? Why I gotta be like that? Why I feel like you're trying to tug on my way and change my way of thinking about, you know what I'm saying? So like, and that goes for Libras, Aquariuses, and Geminis, and goddamn Virgos, Capricorns, and Tauruses. You know what I'm saying? You be around them, you'll start feeling like somebody trying to change the way you think about something that even makes sense. You know what I'm saying? They say, no, you think my way of thinking about it. This is the way that's gonna have everything together and stuff like so. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, y'all got to check that at this time. Y'all got to check and reevaluate how you might be saying something, how you might be going about something. Yeah, Virgo, you're doing something correct. That is going to make us all feel like we're prepared now. We're on schedule or whatever the case may be. But damn, throwing in your 2 cents and worrying every 2 seconds and reminding everybody the stuff we already know. Don't forget, if you're around a water or a fire sign or whatever like that, we might be expressing something that's making you that look like what you created in your mind as a Virgo of someone who forgot, or someone not taking something serious or whatever. I know it might be like that, but you have to understand it's just the elements or whatever the case may be. No, we're just into something else. No, we remember just like you or whatever. And don't forget, being an adult spirit, we know all spirits play resistant energies or whatever. So even if you put a spiritual back against the wall and remind them something they already know, and now they have to think about, damn, they was looking at the way I was expressing myself like I'm dumb and I didn't know, whatever. That'll make a spirit challenge to see how far they can go without even doing it. They just start, without even knowing that they're doing it, because this is what spirits always like to do, get in different pockets. Once we become aware, we'll be able to keep these things in check and have these things in school. But by default, the spirit will start playing rebellious. And even something that they know to do, they'll start to test the thing that they know you is resisting, or whatever the case may be, because spirits like to resist in some way, or not conform, especially when it's a form that you could conform in, and we was all supposed to conform in it, but another spirit realized that conformity before you or whatever, and then put you onto it too, like you're dumb without doing it, that you automatically gonna create a concept where it within your mind and what you was doing was still right, even when you know you ain't right. And then when you go down that road, you're proving or living your life for others in its natural state. But when you're in your ego or whatever, is your ego is bruised, and you want somebody to know that you can find something that's right for us all too, and that's in its natural spiritual state of it. But a lot of times we shouldn't play those games with each other, and sometimes we just get lost in badges and egos and stuff, so it make it feel like it's justified or whatever, because one person could feel like, yeah, I showed this person, they're going crazy for not listening or whatever. But see, your way is still negative too. You know what I'm saying? Your way of going about it is the how. Many people was in that same situation of that what how you did it was through a form of an ego, what made that spirit resist in the first place. And for the most part, it ain't truly your fault, but this is how we're all balancing each other. You have to have true equilibrium. It ain't only what you do to others, is what you allow to be done to you too. And we all have to keep creating the potent energy of that balance. And when we don't, in some way, shape, or form, here's where authority or one could think they're more intelligent over other in areas that don't have anything to do with where we should be developing our intelligence at. You know what I'm saying? So it become falsicity. You know what I'm saying? Where it's a fraud intelligence that's filtered through an ego or whatever, and you're only using it to put somebody else down. You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, God don't like ugly. At that point, you become an ugly spirit. You see what I'm saying? Because there's going to be an individual or a circumstance that make you feel the same energy that you put out. You know what I'm saying? All these things dealing with the internal world, this is the world that Cancer control, but they don't understand it from this broad perspective. They don't understand what to point to when it comes to reading the room. They only know our social norm filtering concept of that. But if they was to know how broad they is, which all zodiac sign is, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But if they would know how much control, they understand that they are walking moons. You know what I'm saying? Cancers is like walking moons or whatever. So a lot of times the day is dependent on your mood when it comes into the people you're close to and the situations that you create with other individuals that you are aware of. The whole day be dependent on y'all and stuff like that. But when y'all don't understand that, you get into an energy of resentment. Then when you see that energy being played out in other areas and you don't feel comfortable in it, you don't feel nurtured in it, then sometimes if you the lower octave cancers, you may act out as you the higher octave Cancer, but you don't know that's what's going on. You just get retractive and you become more of a homebody. You know what I'm saying? So you're not creating hard feelings, yet you stand out of people's way, and you don't want nobody bringing you too much in their bull crap though, or whatever, because you've been there and done that and was more of a supporter of that person, family, or friend than they was to their own damn self. And then you have to retract it, be like, I need that energy for me now a little bit to myself. You know what I'm saying? Now that family, friend, associate don't know what happened, don't know what's wrong, what changed or whatever. How you feel about it and how you go about the situation changed. The relationship is different. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the same or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want it to be the same, you're going to have to show me some different type of qualities. But a lot of times people don't be mind readers, and Cancers don't be in that energy of communicating that. You know what I'm saying? So they just leave it be, or however the case. So they just get back into their nostalgia energies with what makes them feel comfortable. And you just got to make sure you're not an individual that takes them out of that space. But this is what we all supposed to learn from a spiritual perspective during this time. And when the moon go into Gemini, it's going to give us the information to be able to do that. Situations going to happen where experiences play out through conversation, and that what you develop or experience from that conversation is going to be layered through forms of information. And you're going to get this idea, light bulb on your head, like, oh, I don't got to feel this way about this because of this idea I just got. Oh, I may have been reacting and responding to the wrong way. Oh, this mood I'm in before I go about this situation, it's the wrong mood. Let me change this mood before I go about the situation. I don't know what's going on, because a lot of times with the Cancer energy, we can make a lot of internal clouds, emotions, right? And start to see visions, but the situation may not even played out in the physical world yet, right? So it might be situations where we see and experience internally, but you developed a cloud from it, a mood, a feeling. Then you created a swimming pool from it, an emotion. So that mood play out before the physical body language. So your body language is in second nature, acting out the mood or whatever. And a lot of times that mood was in the wrong space. So your actions be in the wrong space. So we could be at a party, and if it's too much Cancer energy involved, you become the party pooper. We could be all trying to be more business, non-personal, and you the person who don't feel comfortable unless we make it more personal or whatever. So Cancer's got to learn how to counterpartmentalize situations, and this is what all zodiac signs have, especially us cardinal signs. So the main people that's going to be affected during this particular time, fixed signs can sit back and eat popcorn. If you choose to participate, you might put yourself into a situation where you have to act more cardinal or act more mutable, which those minor situations is going to lead into uncomfortability because it's not your natural element. So you like to create comfort zones, things you could put your feet in, things you could count on tomorrow or whatever. So getting placed in too many situations where you got to be what's tomorrow, or you got to be what's comfortable. So you got to be the sacrifice of what's uncomfortable for other things to be comfortable. That's cardinal. Or you got to be the one to add, change, or adjust, or do something when you ain't quite ready to do it or whatever, based upon other people's motivations or whatever. That's too much mutable energy going on. So that's if you choose to participate with too many other people, that's lost in the energies. But for the most part, cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancers, and mutable signs, Virgos, Geminis, Pisces, and Sagittariuses. We're going to be because I'm Aries, we're going to be the main ones that has to put things in check for ourselves when it comes to how we react and respond to things. And if you do have actual cancers in your life, but they're higher octave cancers or productive cancers or whatever the case may be, you could take certain qualities of how they like create things in their life to make them feel comfortable, how they take care of their responsibilities or whatever, take certain qualities and add it to areas you probably wasn't paying attention to, or things that you already involved in or whatever. And even though it may be minor things that you don't put a lot of effort in, just putting a little bit of effort in and having that little bit of frustration, you will see how it'll add more potency to your element. So it's like you aligning your element with the element we all in, not you just being in your element and just wanting things to be your way. This is how people create frustrations in their life and stuff like that, where you're not in sync and you're trying to do the same thing last week that this week, and the stars not aligning. The moon ain't trying to you or whatever the case may be. So you trying to look back, do a previous feeling, and now you turn into Lot's wife or whatever the case, because you got to understand, thoughts is men, and many ideas is little boys when it comes into your internal energies. Thoughts and ideas is the masculine side. Then feelings is the little girls, and the woman is emotions. So if you don't dress them up right, you could be in a Lot's wife, you as a spirit. You could be wearing a Lot's wife emotion, where you keep trying to get emotionally attached to what may have worked and what you got comfortable in as a spirit and lied in. It became a lie, but it became part of your bias. And you want to relax in that and all the external things that you attracted in your life that represent that internal Lot's wife, which that's thou shalt not have no name, right? It's just a feeling. It's just an emotion. And then you get salty when you go back on that emotion and then try to express that same joke again, and we ain't laugh the same. You got salty. You know what I'm saying? So that emotion, that cloth and the clothes you was wearing, you was in that woman, and those clothes you was wearing was from that city and state that just got burnt down when God sent us children down here to destroy all these cities that turn into Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody confused in their masculine and feminine thoughts. Their thoughts masculine and their emotions women or whatever. So it goes beyond what y'all talking about. We're not talking about that in the spiritual world. Do what you do, whatever your preference is or whatever. We talk about mental things. You could be the straightest person in the world and you're confused in your mind because you keep manipulating your family and your friends between your business or whatever the case. That's a form of Sodom and Gomorrah. And some of these things, we're going through a shift. People like me and other spirits, we're destroying all these things or whatever. These templates and cities and states y'all done built in the esoteric world or whatever the case. So you can't go back to that city. It's in flames. I'm a triple fire. I'm 888 triple fire. You know what I'm saying? 8 degrees Moon Sagittarius, 17 degrees Aries Sun, 17 degrees Leo Ascendant. So you get that, you get your 6 in the morning to 2 p.m. You get your 2 p.m. in the morning at the 10 p.m. You know what I'm saying? Then you go back to 6 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Things, you got some 3 portions. How we used to read it when it was just spring and summer one thing, and fall and winter was one thing. When you're going on the vision quest, and the black and the red road. But for the most part, yeah, burning everything down and stuff like that. So it plays out as a micro transition as we leave from Gemini and go into Cancer. But at the same time, you want to look back at an emotion that and clothes that you didn't bought from these cities and states of being that have now going through a shift, because it's a form of Sodom and Gomorrah now or whatever, and you're just gonna be salty because your same joke or manipulation scale didn't work the same way it worked before Sodom and Gomorrah was getting burnt down. You know what I'm saying? So you and Lot's wife, you got a Lot wife clothing on some emotion. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you might be salty right now. You're salty about something. You know what I'm saying? So because we make internal salt. That's how you make internal salt. That's how all the salt came in. A lot of salt was created in North America in Ohio first. You know what I'm saying? A lot of saltiness was created. A lot of crying had to been involved, salty tears and stuff. A lot of sex was going on. A lot of confusion on who's what and what's this and who should have this and who should have that. It was too much of that going on. So it was a lot of salt being produced in the Ohio, Chicago, Illinois area, by the Appalachian Mountains and stuff like that, Indiana, pieces of West Virginia, you know what I'm saying, West PA, and all these things. A lot of salt, all the salt. It was so fruitful though. It was a lot. It was fruitful. It was really fruitful though. A lot of stuff. You get lime, lemons, and wild rice, especially in Chicago and stuff. You get a lot of wild rice and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm just speaking esoterically speaking, because we create the waters and the lands too. We got to understand these things. We didn't got so far away from our internal and external actual technologies and stuff like that. We created an internal and an external crutch that we're not seeing is allowing us not to expand or what they want to call this, that evolution, evolve, is causing us not to evolve. And once you start to become weaker than animals in certain aspects, we're going to start being aware of new species of animals that always been here. We just wasn't aware of it. And we're going to start to see where we lack at in those type of ways. And then that's like God telling us without a word, we have to get back to something. And it ain't always just y'all terms or get back to nature, or always y'all terms get, you know what I'm saying? Let me see, make sure this phone don't overheat. It's just something you have to get back to that you have left from, and everybody have their own particular. And then when everybody do that internally for themselves, it manifests as us being on the same time. So we start creating the physical situations and meeting up physically to start doing that. But everything has to be in the spiritual world first. And the only way to the spiritual world is through the internal. You know what I'm saying? And when you go through the internal, you're in your first body, your mind body. So now you're in the first layer of how we all connected, not the second layer, the body. So once you understand it from that starting point or whatever, then you can start working in your efforts and putting in your percentage scale the right way. Masculine, then feminine first, not always lost into the physical and then external world. So you lost in the feminine, then masculine. So you have to react first, then take action. When really, we're always taking action first. When you emanate a thought, then it creates the feminine, a container. And that's how we creating bodies and things to be in and to feel safe within our spirit, the spiritual world. You got cloths around you to make you not feel naked or vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So you feel like you got no house. You feel like you feel like you have no house in situations. You feel like you're not going to be looked down upon in situations. You feel like you're up for that. You see what I'm saying? It play out like that. But when we don't understand that, a lot of times we get diluted in a false sensitivity of what Michael Jordan may have taught us how we supposed to look at certain situations. Then when we don't match it or have those external qualities like a Jordan shoe or whatever the case may be, now you don't even want to go to school and shit like that. Trust me, we all been through it. Trust me, we all been through it. You want to go to school then? You know what I'm saying? I don't go to school for it. You know what I'm saying? This school ain't even about that. You going to school to get good grades. You ain't going to school, and the only part of why you want to go or don't want to go is you got Jordans on your feet or not. But this how our pineal glands got confused and muddied up like waters and stuff like that. Somebody replaced it with something else. You know what I'm saying? Michael Jordan. So you got to be careful and stuff like that when we're going through these spiritual times. And the moon going into Gemini, if you're open and sensitive to the universe, you should be receiving all the information. Sometimes we're blocked off because we're lost into the devil, expectation. So information be all around you that you don't expect to come in that form. You don't expect to come through that person, place, or thing. So when these things present themselves, you spit in his faces or you will reject it in some way, shape, or form. And that probably was a way better route than whatever route you'd have formulated in your mind and transmuted it and gave that gold to the devil because you was promised something. So you gave that gold and now you expect what comes from it, and that way of supposed to going about it or whatever. And the devil don't be delivering all the time. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The devil do not be delivering all the time. It make you be like, well, I need another piece of gold. So you got to go create some creativity or take somebody else's creativity somewhere else and then bring it back and be like, is this me gold? Is this me gold? And then it'll be like, it'll give you something that might look like it, but now you in the unfulfilled energy. You're like, wait, this ain't the jacket I wanted. I wanted the pelly. I didn't want, you know what I'm saying? Then now the first gold wasn't enough. You got to double up. Make gold, make gold, make gold. And then for the most part, then now you just working for the devil the whole time. You never ended up fulfilled. You never ended up getting what you want. And here's the thing, in the physical, you'll get so blind to other people, it looked like you didn't got 10 times over what you already thought you was going for or whatever the case. It didn't seem like that to you. You didn't got rocked to sleep with some type of devil game. Devil had you playing some different type of chess. You didn't know it was a chess you never win in. You just was like promoted by like an esoteric Michael Jordan or Walt Disney or something, like this is the game to play and you could possibly win. So you can see that through the video game industry right now and stuff. You got DLC just to go to the next level. Your downloadable content just to go to the next level. Then you can't beat this level without a certain gun. You got to pay your real money to go get the synthetic money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to pay for space. Oh, I found that. How people come up with that? You got to pay for space. What? That's some intelligence. Oh, shit. All about the money. Dollar bill, y'all. Take that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're going to have a lot of esoteric information that was just always in front of you, but you could get lost into the devil if you lost in too much expectation. Gemini is going to come there, though, because the moon is going to be in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, because that's breaking down that area. Once we start getting confused, leaving from spring and things of that nature, we at the end of it, or whatever the case. Sodom and Gomorrah, Castor and Polex, Joachim, Boaz, twins, or whatever the case, good cop, bad cop, or whatever. All these are Gemini allegories. So when you get into that, understanding it from an esoteric perspective and as far as your mannerisms and stuff like that, not just, oh, this zodiac sign this zodiac sign that. You understand this is pieces of reality of how we're even creating light to condense, to become fluid, to become an organ. And this time of the year is this specific formation that includes a lot of other ones. So you can start to add that to when you in the womb for 9 months, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason for you to come out and take your first sunlight that condensed and became air. And when you came out that specific time, all these things mean something. You know what I'm saying? That means something beyond if it ain't got nothing to do with your pocketbook or your bank account. It ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying? That's how you get lost for life. Where if you get back into real life, you start to understand, oh, I see how people even created the banking system to even make up a concept of getting rich. Oh, you got to be spiritual a little bit. You got to have something on your mind a little bit, but it's a difference between being productive and being unproductive. So that's why you can't really be putting everybody in no box either. Like if you like a race baiter type of person or whatever the case may be, nah, like especially if you grow up in the hood, you understand how much America is a melting pot if you live in the hood. So it doesn't even make sense at some point if you're lost into a small world like a fraternity, or you're just a person lost online or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own spiritual way of going about something, and you just got productive people and you got unproductive people. No matter what we be sizing up from the devil expectation, oh, he's not productive or she's not productive because she doesn't have Jordans on. No, you know what I'm saying? And just replace Jordan with, you know, a lot of things that we create to make ourselves appear to be stable or something like that, a social norm. But I came across many bums and crackheads, and that's another quality. You're able to experience something to know that, oh, there's a dumb concept here and there's an intelligent concept there. So when you broaden yourself up, there's a such thing as a whole world people could be in the spiritual world that's positive, And there's people within it that might do negative and positive. And then there's a whole world people could be in that's negative, but don't put everybody in a box, because within it, there's certain people that's positive and they just have to find their way out. So you can have grace or whatever. And therefore, now you're having more equilibrium, because now you can see, even if there's a whole world of positivity, there's some people in there that use certain positive qualities for their ego, and they're using it for other purposes that's really damaging and stuff like that. Then you have in this pocket over here is a whole world that we know all these people ain't supposed to be smoking crack or whatever the case may be, but you know you can leave your car running at the gas station around that crackhead, him or her, instead of that other crackhead. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. That one got a little bit of other, you can see the way they move their left elbow or whatever. You already know what's on their mind. You know what I'm saying? And that, read people's sarcasm too, because it really just exposes they got a lot on their mind. You know what I'm saying? So when you are able to separate and have equilibrium, you're able to see, okay, a person have a lot on their mind. And once they expose what they have on their mind, you can just see what type of bullshit individual that they are and know how to deal with them. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, you just like them, if you take extreme offense to their sarcasm, or if you're going through like that witty banter, y'all know how y'all do amongst y'all family, friends, associates, and coworkers. When y'all try to get one up on each other, it ain't nothing too deep, too serious or whatever. But it still got you feeling certain ways, and you still be doing things to them to have them feel certain ways. The small tit for tat, it ain't so extreme that everybody got to cut off relationship. Y'all know what I'm talking about, stuff like that. But a lot of times you'll know how to deal with an individual if you sit back and don't be in the same space. So you're not accumulating the same energies, because you're not in the same esoteric place. And then you'll actually see what this person doing in the esoteric world. They're collecting a lot of cloths and putting a lot of stuff on their mind when it condensed, and what they're expressing through their brain and their organs in the physical world when you're experiencing them and relating to them and stuff like that. And a lot of times, that's all you have to see to know that, oh, this person ain't, or know how to deal with them or whatever. Then once you kick that can up under the road, you force that spirit to go to a different city, a different state they can be in, states of being, a different state that their being, their spirit could be in, to create different gas, liquids, and solids, and those buildings where other spirits that create a lot of cloths that really just be overcompensations in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension to appear to be something that they lack. Not appear to be something that they lack, but to look like they have something that they may lack, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Because being something that they ain't, that's a different city and state. But this would be a person that probably don't want a situation that probably just as petty as they created, that they know now by that expression, it created possibilities for their people that they're around or coworkers to look down on them in some way. So then they start playing that esoteric behind the scenes situation that play out in other areas that kind of will blind people or fulfill what they have lacked in that area they have allowed to be exposed, or allow other spirits to take too much and be more in charge of that energy when everyone is participating into the situation, right? And a lot of times these things mean more than the physical representations everybody be involved in each other in. That's why I said, if you don't understand life from that aspect, the spiritual aspect, that's why you don't understand a person could lose money and then get back on. But a heartbreak, a manipulation, a lie, they'd crash out for, kill themselves or others for, and things of that nature. So it's showing you in life what's more important. So a lot of times when we lie to ourselves and think a pair of Jordans is more important, here's where we lie. Here's where that may have already started playing out in other areas, and it'll be too late a lot of times. Yeah, we thought we wanted that person, or we thought that person wanted us. Yeah, we thought we wanted that job, or we thought that job needed us. Yeah, we thought we was that in that person's mind, or these group of people. And what, you know what I'm saying? And for the most part, and then life start caving in to reality. Yeah, it wasn't shit but them Jordans. You know, so that's it. You know what I'm saying? The moment you ain't had them Jordans no more, you ain't had them whores no more. Whore. You know, whore. Whore. You know what I'm saying? So it get deep in the spiritual world. But you know what I'm saying? Gemini is going to give us the information, whether you're spiritual or you're in the physical world. It's going to give you those senses where you know you wasn't doing something right and you still might go down that path. So it's only 2 paths, and it's going to look, because Gemini is light. So the reaction energy of the moon is in the air. It ain't going to be strong and things of that nature till we get into Cancer. So you ain't gonna see the reaction to force you to be like, okay, I may need to change this or whatever. So you might just be thinking along with it in your mind, like you're airheaded, like I'm just thinking too much about it. This person don't know nothing. Or I could do the same, even if you're not manipulating someone. You could be in some type of pattern that you know you're supposed to be changing a little bit, whether it's the way you do your job or handle something or whatever, but ain't nobody giving you the reaction to make that apparent. So you're gonna still do it knowing internally, you know, maybe it's time to switch up or whatever the case may be. And if you don't take that route, and you take the route of, oh, nobody knows what's going on, or I can just sweep it up under the rug a little bit more, I can do this or whatever the case. Soon as the new moon go into Cancer, everything gonna be expressed, and then it's gonna be, you're gonna be forced into a situation where you have to express, and based upon you taking that other road, you're gonna be expressing lacking prepared, lacking information, lacking you should have did something, lacking the emotional energy that was supposed to be placed into another area to motivate you to take actions there, whether it was resolving something, whether it was taking care of something practical, you know what I'm saying, whether it was changing your emotional state on how to deal with a situation, and now you're going to be stuck in this only way of reacting that's going to be totally indifferent when everything around you need new ways of reacting, or whatever the case may be. And here you go, creating the same situation you created last week, this week, same situation you created last month, this month, same in a cycle where the people who know you constantly keep going through the same thing, and you talking off their eardrums every now and then, and that's you the reason they turn on their phone on airplane mode and don't disturb. So you got to peep game. Don't be that one. Don't be that person that you're the one that everybody get online or talk with other people about spirituality and have conversations about telling somebody some good advice, but the person never changing, but they act like they trying to change. Don't be the person that everybody talking about. Don't be the person that everybody be listening and be like, yep, he right, yep, she right about. Because you somebody's family, friend, associate, and coworker, just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So don't get out your own, your doo-doo stink just like everybody else's. So you got to understand that. When humans start to understand that, everybody good to go. So all these energies is internal. So the moon is going to take us into Sodom and Gomorrah or whatever. And Cancer is going to show us how when the new moon going to Cancer, we're preparing to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. Everybody ain't going to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. They're going to be like, nah, I still like this. I like that. And you're going to be salty because when the new moon going to Cancer, we're going to be in a new world. You know what I'm saying? When the new moon going to Cancer, the new world, and it's going to get fixated in that energy once the sun start to transition into Leo. Then we're purely into the summer. But for the most part, right, if you don't change in a way of reacting or change your mood about something, you're stuck in that same mood and you're going to try to express it once the moon go into Cancer or whatever. Then that's you still being confused, not reading the room, because we're going through a shift. Flight boss, beep, for sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Taurus moon. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry God duties and beep, responsibilities and duties and obligations. Goddamn it, erect the swall, hip, hold that yellow hoop. Massasoit, mama na toy. Woo. Masasaki.